Hello and welcome to our scoop. Be sure to subscribe and hit the like button if you enjoy this video. Story 1. My 56F, husband, 61M, cheated with our grandkid's nanny, 23F. My husband and I have been married for 29 years. Our daughter is 27 and has 2 daughters, aged 5 and 3. She and her boyfriend, the father of the kids, broke up a year and a half ago. She works for my husband's company and had long days, and we decided that it would be the right thing to do to get her a nanny. She did the hiring and went through a bunch of candidates before finding one that she really liked. The kids also really liked her. Her job involves a lot of travel and events, so the nanny was live-in. My husband and I would go over a lot to visit with them, but I never suspected anything. Our marriage has had its ups and downs. After my 26-year-old son was born, he came home late every night, and I finally caught him cheating in the act. He apologized and said he had postpartum depression. In our late 30s, he had an overseas project, and the looks his employees would give me when I visited made me extremely suspicious. One of the employees ended up quitting and telling me that he was sleeping with a sales rep from another company and also an employee. I actually filed for divorce, and he lived in another house for a year, but relatives pressured us to work it out, telling me that I was a stay-at-home mom with outdated skills. Since that time, I fell back in love and I felt that he had been faithful. But our son has been asking me about our relationship, saying things seemed strange. His way of describing it was that my husband appeared to be in love and happy, but looked like he was missing something. Then my husband started looking nervous around me and finally broke down and said he messed up. He told me he was sleeping with the nanny and she had had a pregnancy scare. He said that she wanted to leave and give her notice without incident but has nowhere to go, and he feels obligated to get her a job or otherwise set her up. He apologized and begged for my help to make sure our daughter doesn't get stressed out about this. He says the nanny doesn't deserve to suffer for this and the grandkids love her. What do I do? My daughter doesn't know anything, and neither does my son beyond his dad's strange behavior. Both my kids work with my husband in some capacity, and he has a wonderful relationship with both of them. I am of course heartbroken and had been preparing to spend the rest of my life with him. We have built up a history together, and I do not remember what it was like when we didn't have each other to rely on. Opinion. In my opinion, your husband seems to have the intention to continue this behavior. He has been disrespecting you for over a quarter of a century and even has the nerve to ask you to help him assist the woman he has been having an affair with. I believe he might even have this audacity because of the fact that you stayed with him the first time, or at least the first time you caught him. Cheating is already bad in itself, and I never condone it, but he cheated so obviously and out in the open that not only your children, but his employees would notice too. He has no problem publicly embarrassing you, and he will continue to do it as long as you show him the green light that this behavior is okay with you. I also feel that divorce should only be done in extreme cases, but if you do stay with him, be prepared for this behavior to continue. I'm sorry that you're going through this, but only you have the power to put an end to being cheated on since you cannot control others' actions. I truly hope you figured it out and respect yourself more than you have in the past. Comments. Blade_982 commented, "Act normal. Consult a lawyer and start divorce proceedings. Or keep suffering. It's a pity he couldn't extend the concern he has for the nanny to you. And now he has the gall to ask you to help the woman he's been having an affair with. Probably in your home too. He won't let her leave because he has every intention of continuing. Are you going to hang around until he finally manages to knock her up? And you should tell your kids. They're adults now." Lucy_the_wise_goosey commented, "Tell your daughter so the nanny can be kicked out like the trash she is." Alhart93 commented, "She's younger than his daughter. That makes it even more disturbing. Nanny should have thought about her job security and having a place to live before having an affair with her boss's father. Gross." 30 Flips commented, "I agree, because instead of doing her job, She was having an affair with her boss's dad. Apart from the terrible ethics of this, she is also a terrible nanny and should be blacklisted. She is essentially being paid to f the father instead of looking after the children in her care. They both deserve repercussions. She is not innocent here to be protected. The fact that that dirty old man is demanding she is protected and that he wants to look after her is terrible. But use it as a bargaining tool. Time to be selfish. Say you will not destroy her career, but you want 70% of all the assets. Non-negotiable. Or maybe demand a huge alimony payment. If he wants something now, he can pay for it. Story 2. I, 26F, lashed out on my husband's ex-girlfriend, 35F, and his mother is pissed. This might be a little long, but please bear with me and tell me what you think. My husband, 32M, and I have been married for about 2 years. We had an arranged marriage. So my husband met his ex in his freshman year of college and she was a senior. They casually dated for a bit and then fell in love and were on and off for almost 10 years. During the later part of their relationship, 6 years in, my husband spoke about marriage and starting a family with her. She apparently brushed it off and said, let's wait it out a bit. He waited. And later when he brought it up again saying that he'll have to tell his parents and get them used to the idea that she's white American and my husband is Indian American, she agreed to it and it went really well too. My now in-laws absolutely loved her. She was beautiful and had a good job. But apparently, after that things started going sour. She was nice and respectful in front of his parents but picked fights with him in private, and blamed him for pushing her to get married and meeting the parents. In my opinion, she could have disagreed with meeting them. From what I've heard, it doesn't seem like he forced her. Plus he met her parents and he wanted her to meet his as well. During the 8th year of their relationship she gets pregnant, and whom does she tell first? My now mother-in-law. And of course everyone is happy that there's a wedding now. She also says she is happy, but in private she tells my husband that he baby-trapped her and stuff like that. My husband says that it was just an unplanned pregnancy and he didn't propose marriage at that point. It was just something his mother said and only at that time. So what does she do without talking it out? She gets an abortion. Without telling anyone. Then manipulates my husband into telling everyone it's a miscarriage and he goes along with it. I don't know why he was enabling this stuff. But moving on. Their relationship doesn't recover from that as she went behind his back and he just couldn't see her the same way anymore. So close to their 10-year mark. He leaves her. She also agrees at that time and moves out. Everyone is obviously upset by this and my husband's in therapy. He has been in therapy ever since the abortion. 2 years pass and we get married. He told me about his ex the second time we met. And if I think he's somewhat broken and damaged, I don't have to say yes. He also told me that he's over her but he's still healing from whatever happened. He seemed genuinely nice. He had these big, beautiful, expressive eyes that I could look at all day. I thought about it quite a bit as I would be moving to another country. I shouldn't be risking this. But I went ahead with it. We were married. Cut to 2 weeks ago. And guess who shows up? She pretty much barges into our home to hug my husband and starts crying in his arms for about 10 minutes without saying a word. My husband finally frees himself and asks her what's wrong. All of this is happening in the foyer, by the way. She says, ask her to leave. I don't want her to listen to what I have to say. It's our personal problem. I cannot believe this woman. She's still crying, trying to hug and hold on to him. He says I'm not going anywhere and that we're married so she can just say what she wants to say and leave. She actually screams and says that she's supposed to marry to him and have his children and they could do that now and I'm not his type. He likes white meat. I'm with him for a green card. And I have daddy issues cause of the age gap. He doesn't love me. I'm just someone who's there to help him with his time-to-time releases. This was a little too much and my husband asked her to leave and pushed her out the door cause she wasn't willing to. I know she was probably in a state of panic and let every thought out, but some of them were pretty bad. My husband was a mess after this. He booked an appointment with his therapist. We hadn't told our in-laws anything yet. 3 days ago. She called. I don't know how she got my number at that time. Told me she wanted to meet. I told her I had nothing to say to her and to leave us alone. This mental case then proceeded to tell me that I should leave my husband so that they can be together, and it's also probably what my husband wants and stuff like that. Now, my relationship with my husband wasn't love at first. But we have grown to love each other a lot over these 2 years. We've been trying for a baby as well. So this upset me a lot and I'm sorry. But I said a few horrible things to her. I yelled at her for being a manipulative B-word. That she did this to herself and should honestly get over it. Now that she's 35. And realizes that everyone is settling down. She wants to come back. I told her either way her relationship wasn't going to work out with my husband, and I'm happy that she had an abortion so that my husband would not be tied to her in any way. After which I hung up. She called a few more times before I blocked her. I came back home later that evening. And my mother-in-law, my husband's ex, and my husband were sitting in the living room. She's again crying. My mother-in-law yelled at me as she was consoling her. I told my husband what she said and I apologized for being rude. My husband says he understands. But my mother-in-law says I was rude. Which I agree, and she's going through something right now and needs my husband to help her. I told him I didn't want her around us anymore and he agreed. But my mother-in-law made a passive-aggressive remark about me being controlling and isn't talking to me anymore. It's been 3 days. But we talk or text each other on a daily basis. Am I wrong for lashing out? Is it selfish of me for not wanting my husband to help her out knowing she's been a huge part of his adult life? Opinion. Your mother-in-law is wrong for treating you that way. That woman is not entitled to your husband's time. And it doesn't seem like he wants much to do with her anyway. This seems like a manipulation tactic from your mother-in-law and this ex-girlfriend of his. So don't let them guilt-trip you or your husband into dropping any boundaries that you have set. She probably is realizing how much she messed up by acting the way she did. If you and your husband are happy, don't let anything get in between that. Because it's you two's marriage. Not your mother-in-law's. Not the ex-girlfriend. And not any other family members either. Keep it between you two. Make decisions about your marriage together and don't make the same mistake she did. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next latest scoop.